I know when Michael sang that song first service, it just reminded me of one of my favorite quotes. And it's by the beautiful 13th century theologian and mystic Meister Eckhart. And he said that the soul has two faces. One that looks down at the earth and the five senses, and the other that gazes up at the glory of God. And I could just feel when Michael was singing the beauty, the connection, the love that happens when we gaze up at the glory of God. You know, it's interesting because I read somewhere that the only difference between us, we're all really the same. We're really the same. We may look a little different. We may be packaged a little different. But we're made of the same stuff. We're made of the same stuff. We're made of all the qualities. We're made in the image and likeness of God, of love, of goodness, of abundance, of prosperity, of potential, of all that stuff. We're all made of the same stuff and then infused with that thing called free will. Right. So we can forget all that. But the thing that differentiates us the most is the habits we choose. The habits we choose. If we choose to habitually look at this world and the five senses, our life is going to be very painful and very chaotic. Because this world is a world of experience. And we learn through joys and sorrows. We learn through pain and gladness. We learn in many ways. So if we attach ourselves to this and think that's all there is, we're going to be bouncing around pretty upset. But it's the habit that you and I start really cultivating in our life and in our mind is the habit of gazing up at the power and presence of God. And as you said so beautifully, Petra, you can't gaze up there with your human eyes. You gaze at that power and presence with the openness of the heart, the place where heaven and earth connect. So we have that choice of how we're going to build our life. Now let me tell you something. We have a wonderful philosophy which we practice here. It's God is all there is, but you don't have to call it God. We don't care what name you call it. It's the energy of love, the power, the goodness, the potential. That's all there is. There's only one power. And it's a power for good in the universe, and it's greater than we are, and we can use it. Isn't that a great philosophy? It's not enough. I've actually heard people, including myself, give lip service to our philosophy and then go out and practice limitation and separation and not enoughness. Have you heard people do that before? I mean, that's the world of the five senses. We can get caught up in that. But if we choose to make a habit which takes practice, practice, practice of gazing up at something more than just what's right in front of us, know that there's something bigger going on, we can live a much different life if our habits are focused on good and love and positivity rather than limitation and separation. Now, this habit that I'm talking about, which comes from, you know what it? Practice, practice, practice. We have to practice, practice, practice. Because if we're not practicing the philosophy we teach, what is it? It's just a philosophy. But if we practice it, it becomes a way of life. It becomes an automatic response. Not that we don't slip sometimes because this world gets heavy, but it becomes a way of life. Now, this is not something new. When I talked about loving kindness as a theme for today, loving kindness is something we see in most spiritual traditions. The Dalai Lama said, "My religion is kindness." That's my religion. And I hear a lot of yeah, buts. Yeah, kindness, but what about man's inhumanity to man? What about all the cruelty we see when we turn on the news? What about this misuse of that power for good that comes from the free will part of life? What about all that? How can kindness be our philosophy? And I say, how can it not be? Hatred doesn't cease with hatred. Hatred ceases with love. So we may say, yeah, but how can we be kind when? But if we really practice the practice of loving kindness, which means unconditional love, you don't just give love and kindness to people that deserve it, but you activate that loving kindness because you see a greater good. Doesn't mean you have to condone behavior. You don't have to say, oh, well, that's okay. But you can still love life and people because you know there's a spark of goodness that Sharon was talking about in them. Now let's look at the traditions for a minute. In Hindu, the practice of loving kindness is called bhakti yoga. And bhakti yoga is the practice. They say it's the fastest and most direct way to God. And it's the practice of loving everything. And it takes complete faith and oneness. In the Hindu tradition, this loving kindness is called metta. And it's about actively, again, it's about practicing. It's the active practice of extending, sharing mindfully loving kindness to yourself, to others, and to all the world. It's a practice, practice, practice. In Sufi, the mystical arm of Islam, it is the religion of the heart. And their focus and their tenet is to see in the heart of everyone that spark of divinity. And to practice and give love by seeing the good in all. Now, in the Christian tradition, the term loving kindness was coined in 1535 by Miles Coverdale, who was the first man to translate the Bible into English. And the Hebrew word hesed, which does mean loving kindness, he got the word loving kindness. And so loving kindness has become a tenet of Christianity. And in Christianity, there's lots of icons that just are symbols of loving kindness. I think one up on our wall that is a symbol for all of us is Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa symbolizes loving kindness, selflessness, and great tenacity to keep on keeping on. And you know, she was asked, how in the world do you keep working with the terminally ill, the poor, the lost souls? How do you do it day by day, year after year, to always be feeding them, nourishing them, taking care of them, wiping their brows and their backsides? Why, doing it all and giving them comfort on their deathbed. How do you do that day after day? And she said, it's not hard. It's not hard. Because in each face, I see the face of God in its most distressing disguise. But I see the face of God. Wow. We have a lot to learn from Mother Teresa. A lot to learn. She has another one of those quotes that I keep in my pocket and pull out all the time. If you are not feeling or experiencing peace, it's because you've forgotten that we belong to each other. And that's when you can see the face of divinity in everything. And then in Hebrew, wow, the Psalms are filled with loving kindness. And in Hebrew, loving kindness, hesed. Can you put that in it, Sharon? Okay, good, because I can't say it quite right. But I was practicing, but I haven't practiced enough. See, we've got to practice a lot to make something a habit. But loving kindness, hesed, was a practice of active faith that was used by people who used the love of God that was mentioned in the Bible, love of God, to give loving kindness, hesed, to everyone, no matter if they deserved it or not, to give it to everyone. It became a way of life. So you can see this tradition is not something new. In the Psalms, it says, "Blessed be God, because he has not rejected my prayers or removed his loving kindness from me. Only good and loving kindness will follow me all of my days." That's when we're looking and gazing at the face of God. "For you, Lord, are loving and forgiving, abounding your loving kindness on all who call on you." But that's not all. In science of mind, we don't actually see the word loving kindness, but love is a synonym for God. It's the manifestation of God. It's what you and I came here to do. Use me. We came here to be the light of God incarnate. Love is a synonym for God. Love is a cosmic force whose sweep is irresistible, which means love changes things. It's a vibration that lifts things up. We cannot be in love's presence and not be changed at some level. Ernest Holmes said love is the most healing power in the world, in the universe. It's the most healing power there is. So this practice of loving kindness is something that I think we really should do, don't you? Get in the habit of thinking about loving kindness first. But here we enter the holy days. The holy days, the holidays, the days of thinking about our blessings and the sacredness of life. And some of us do feel that way. Some of us feel very holy. And then some of us just feel filled with holes. Because we feel separate. We're not practicing the oneness that we teach. We let life let us feel fragmented and disconnected. I will tell you the thing that unites us all is an urge for happiness. Anyone here who doesn't want to be happy, will you stand up? And underneath that really urge for happiness is the yearning for connection. It's about wanting to be connected to life, to be part of something bigger than just ourselves. We feel separate and alone because we forget to practice what we teach. And we start looking at the world and demonizing the things we don't like or we don't understand and making them wrong and pushing life away instead of embodying the one thing that's going to make the biggest difference. You and I, right now, need to make a commitment to one another to start cultivating the good. Cultivating the good. And you may say, yeah, but, those buts keep getting in the way, I'll tell you. But we need to, we say, yeah, but what about those really, 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 really difficult people? Rainer Maria Rilke, who was a German mystical author and poet, said, perhaps everything terrible in its deepest meaning is something that needs our love. Marianne Williamson, Ernest Holmes, they both say quite often that every act, everything, is either an act of love or a cry for love. Think about our own lives. When we're acting all enlivened and expanded, it's because that place, our home, our heart, is filled with love and it's overflowing. And when we're not being our greatest self, it's because we're not feeling that unconditional love that's ever present. And it's about making the practices to keep that light, that flame lit. So we need to be cultivating the good. Well, how do we do that? How do we cultivate the good? Well, first and foremost, it's about remembering and reestablishing that love that's always in us. It's about doing whatever spiritual practice we need to do. I don't know if it's prayer or meditation or contemplation or communing with nature, what it is to remember that good we see out there in nature and beauty and whatever it is the stuff we're made of. We have to rekindle that, reignite that, remember that first. And then second, be aware, because in this life we do have emotions. How many of you? We have the good emotions that make us happy, but we also have anger and hatred and greed and, come on, what are some more? Fear. What else? Sadness. Oh, God. Oh, you guys know those really well. Yeah, okay, we have all of those. But let me tell you something. Our mind is naturally pure and radiant. We're here on this planet and we have emotions. This physical being, that's how we learn. We're here to learn and grow. So we will have feelings. And they're visitors. What are they? They're not who we are. They're visitors, but sometimes some of us make residence here and let these visitors take hold of us. And that's a habit we get into. Instead of recognizing these visitors as visitors and saying, okay, what do you have for me to learn and know and be, and let them go. We hang on, we obsessively hang on. And sometimes we hang on to the limitation and separation because we're afraid to focus on the good, because just maybe we'll get disappointed. But what's going to happen in the interim? To focus on the love and goodness. Think of the difference we make. And if our path isn't the path we think, we still have the joy of being. Not only that, we can't keep what we don't give away. So when we give away that loving kindness, that becomes who we are. So we need to cultivate that good. It was an interesting research that was done. And some researchers went into a nursing home, and they gave everybody a beautiful plant to enjoy. And half of the residents, they gave this plant and said, this is a beautiful plant for you to enjoy, and it's also yours to take care of. You have to be in tune with it and see when it needs more water, more sunlight, when it needs a little pruning, and it's yours. And to the other residents, they said, this plant is yours to enjoy, and you don't have to do anything to it. The others will take care of it. And after a year, they went back, and here's what they'd noticed. The residents that had to care for the plant were living longer, were healthier. They had more vitality and aliveness in their life, and more connection with others. Now, the ones that didn't have something to care for, they were the norm in longevity and health and connection and feeling good about life. How many of you want to be the norm? Me neither. I want to be the one that feels alive. And the study would suggest to all of us that caring for something else, being part of something greater than you, is something that brings aliveness to you and is a gift to the world. So I want to close this morning with a meditation, a loving kindness meditation. Now let's talk one more time about the definition of loving kindness. Loving kindness is unconditional love. It's loving acceptance. It's not just giving love to people who deserve it, but having a love for the world because we know we're on this journey together. So I want you to really concentrate on that loving kindness energy. The loving kindness meditation actually comes from a Buddhist tradition, and we can design it and sculpt it to any way we want. But today I want to just do it in part of the way they do it, and then we'll end it a little differently. So join me, if you will, and just close your eyes. Put your feet on the floor. Unravel yourself and just be aware if there's any tension in your body. Just breathe into it. Give it space. Open yourself. Open yourself. The loving kindness meditation is about being comfortable and feeling good. Being comfortable and feeling good. Now, don't be surprised as we do this meditation if there might be some other feelings that enter in, if it's fear or sadness or something else. And remember, it's a visitor and it has something to tell you. This is just a message of something that needs to be focused on, transformed, healed, let go of, amended, transcended, whatever it is. So just be at peace right now, not judging anything that happens. And start breathing deeply with long, peaceful exhales. And start breathing from that heart center, the place of home. And as you breathe from this heart center, I'm going to say just the 4 simple sentences of the loving kindness meditation. And I want you to just repeat them to yourself. Remember, we start with loving kindness for ourselves in our perfect imperfection. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be safe. May I be at peace and at ease. I'm going to speak that one more time while we're still focusing just on ourselves. And if you were home alone, you would do this until you felt peace and comfortable and goodness within you. But just let this time that I speak it and you speak it to yourself, just bring the space within your beingness to be open and available to the love that's always present, that potential that's in us. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be safe. May I be at peace and ease. And just let those words, or whatever words you have to say for yourself, just enliven you. With the notes of the music, just enliven you. Wake you up to the good that's present. And as we fill ourselves to overflowing with that loving kindness, think of someone you deeply care for. Someone you deeply care for. Could be a group, it could be a person. And just extend that energy, that beautiful cosmic force of healing love as you bring that person to your mind or to your heart. And just again say, may you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be at peace. And I'll speak that again to our circle of people that are easy to love. And bring in more people at this time of that circle of your community, of the people that are easy to love. And just say again, may you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be at peace and at ease. Now, thinking of the power of our collective consciousness, let's just expand this loving kindness as we just let it include all sentient beings, all beings on this planet, those that we resonate with and those we don't. Just knowing we have the power to bring light to the darkness. So in that expansive circle, may all be happy. You might have to breathe deeper on that one, but just say, may all be happy. May all be well. May all be safe. May all be at peace. And just one more time, let that vibration of loving kindness just filter out this room, fill this room, filter out and surround this beautiful planet and go out into this beautiful universe in which we live. May all be happy. May all be well. May all be safe. And may all be at peace and ease. And just breathe that in, and may we just know together in this prayer right now, as we really own this in the way that we know, that just say right now, I am happy. I am well. I am safe. I am at peace. I am at ease. And just let that vibrate as we simply know together that the consciousness of God's infinite, unconditional love is ever present in each and every one of us. That potential is always there, simply waiting and ready to be activated and ignited within us that we may share it in this world. We know truly that only the gifts we give are the gifts that we get to receive and keep. They expand us, they allow us to grow. So as we give and share that love that we already are, as we activate it within ourselves, as we love ourselves completely for all our human frailties and all our God-given gifts, we say thank you. And we give gratitude right now for absolutely the happiness we experience, the health we experience, the safety we experience, the abundance, the peace, the joy we experience right now. It's a state of mind. We recognize it as we choose right this moment to be in the practice of putting God first, of looking and gazing upward in the goodness that wants to be received and given. That we make that the practice right here and right now. And I know that for each and every person here, that we are in a community that is focused on transformation and change. And we are willing right here and right now to do this work. And as I know this for you, I know this for myself. And just knowing that together, may we each in our own beautiful vibrant, alive minds. Just vision a world that works for everyone. We're not there yet, but we vision it and know it and hold it this holiday season. And know that anytime we feel separated, we simply need to just focus on the greater good. We need to focus on what we're here to be and do and give and share, to make our life matter and meaningful. Oh, how good it is. And so in that knowing right now and the giving, feel as you receive the unconditional love of God. Let it transform, amend, and transcend any of the heavy experiences. And let you be the light of this season. Take a nice deep breath. And we'll simply seal this by saying together, and so it is. I bless each and every one of you right here and right now. I thank you for being on this journey with me. Happy holidays.